gentlemen, it's Mike here with Uninfluenced. I want to bring to you a reveal/tour of a bike that I got in a few weeks ago. It is the Ducati Supperleggera V4. They only make 500 of these bikes every 3 years. Mine is 425 out of 500. So it's a very special build and a very special bike from a rarity standpoint and from a riding experience, which I'm going to do a ride after this quick walk around. I'll keep it short and sweet, but I just want to kind of point out some of the highlights. So it comes with a stock exhaust that does not look like this. With this, what's called a race or performance exhaust, it bumps the horsepower up to 234 horsepower and 88 foot-pounds of torque. It's an absolute monster of a bike, as you can probably imagine. One of the key components of this that makes it really stand out from a lot of other leader bikes, it is a 999cc or 1000cc leader bike, is how light it is. Wet with a full tank of gas, as it sits right here, this bike weighs 398 pounds. And I can attest to when you're riding it, you definitely feel how light it is and kind of how just easy it is to dump into corners or to just steer and navigate with. A couple of really interesting things from a weight saving standpoint. As you zoom in here, these wheels are carbon wheels, so they're really light. Obviously on the front and the back it's got Öhlins suspension, which is really top shelf, and you feel it's a great suspension. It's not electronic, which I actually prefer. I do prefer the kind of analog, being able to adjust it to your weight and preference instead of it doing it on the fly. I've got a couple other bikes with electronic suspensions, and I do find myself preferring the non-electronic. Carbon, as you can see, is everywhere, not just on the trim and from a aesthetic standpoint, even though it's all over here. The swing arm and the chassis are also carbon, which is the biggest contributing factor to the weight savings. It has these carbon wings, which I think both look cool as well as provide an absurd amount of handling stability. From a downforce standpoint, at 160 miles an hour, those wings provide 110 pounds of downforce. So basically 110 pounds of squatting down on the handlebars essentially is the feeling that you get. It feels planted unlike any other motorcycle I've ever ridden, and by a lot. Between the super lightweightness, the incredible chassis, as well as the downforce provided by these wings, it gives you a really unique riding experience where it feels really lightweight and flickable, but super planted with just loads of grip, and gives you a ton of confidence to be able to ride it in a way that you just don't feel comfortable riding other bikes, pushing the limit and things of that nature. So without further ado, I'm going to jump on it and give you a POV style review of me actually riding it and walking through it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go with the Ducati Supperleggera V4. As you'll note, I've got it in Race B. Race B is a nice mix of giving the engine the full beans while making it a little less twitchy than it is in Race A. So first thing you notice about this bike is how planted it is and how well it handles. It just, it's really unlike anything else I've ever ridden that way. From a power standpoint, it's very linear and delivers it in a fashion that's very controllable and relatively predictable, but it's also still playful and spiky enough to where, from an emotion standpoint, it gives you that raw feeling of kind of how you want it. And it picks up very quick. And it's just very dialed in, engine brake wise. I'm a big fan of kind of intrusive engine brakes. I like when you know, when I let off, that the engine brake gives you some assistance in slowing you down, and this bike has that to a T. Just gives you an overwhelming sensation of a race bike, frankly. Unfortunately, right now the time of day is not conducive to a smooth review as it relates to traffic, but to be frank, there's not very many times a day or days that's not the case around here. That's just Dallas traffic for you, but nonetheless, still an absolute joy and pleasure to ride this thing. Thing that this bike also brings to the table, really unlike any other bike, is the sound. As you can probably hear, that exhaust note is classic Ducati, and it just sounds amazing. I mean, whether you're riding it or hearing somebody drive by on it, it just sounds incredible. I will say that this is bone stock, right? It's not, you know, this exhaust is part of what an option that you can have on it from Ducati. It's not, you know, an aftermarket where I had, you know, some other shop put it on or anything. Ducati does it. Hopefully the traffic will clear up a little bit on these curves coming up, where we can really showcase kind of just the handling and just how planted it is, how good it feels. The way that it feels when you're maneuvering it is absolutely on another level. There's just nothing else like it. The Aprilia V4 1100 factory that I have, it's got carbon wheels that I put on it, an SC Project slip-on, and a race ECU. And it's a great bike. There's no two ways about it. The handling on it is spectacular. It's very fast, real torquey. It's an 1100, granted, but the flickability and just the precision with which this handles and steers absolutely beats the Aprilia, and it should. I mean, let's be honest. The cost of this bike is also on another level, and that's kind of the tough part, is, you know, determining, is this bike worth what it costs, which we'll make that determination at a later date. But I will say, you know, I've ridden quite a few bikes here in the last 18 months or so, trying to find what I want and like and prefer and what have you. And you know, without a question, this is my favorite bike to ride. It's truly remarkable how well done this bike is, and just how phenomenal of a job Ducati has managed to create this engine. I call it an engineering masterpiece. I would absolutely call it that. So coming up on these curves is where you get to see a little bit. Just that little strip of kind of S-curves going back and forth, you really get a sense for how well this bike handles, you know. It's really, I just can't say enough good things about how well done it is. It's incredible. I'm sure you guys heard that. Right into neutral like a total asshole. And here's where the traffic plays a little bit of a dicey role in getting to enjoy this thing, but we'll turn off this main road here in a second. No, you didn't. Not up in here. We're gonna just cheat the system here. There we are. Get over here. The way that this bike delivers power is interesting. I will say a bit of a disappointment from a stock ECU mapping standpoint. There's a horrible dead spot at about 8,500 to 11,500, 12,000, somewhere in there. That sucks. There's just really no other way to describe it. It's a shitty deal, and I wish Ducati, especially when you're putting, you know, the performance exhaust on it, it just shouldn't be there, and it's very disappointing that it is. Luckily, our good friends over at Bren Tuning make a stage 1 flash for it that gets rid of that and smooths out the delivery a little bit in that mid-range. So looking at doing that here probably later this week, but I wanted to get the bone stock version so you get a good representation of what the bike is coming straight from the factory after 600 and some odd miles on it. Still very happy with it. I just, that dead spot's pretty disappointing for what this bike costs and what it is. As rare as it is, as special as it is, I would have thought that, they would not have put that in there, but nice work. This traffic is tough to get away from, but unfortunately that's what we got. So as we get ready to pull back into the shop here, just to kind of summarize this thing, it's a phenomenal bike. There's no two ways about it. Agreed, it should be for what it costs and all that, but all that aside, just from a driver or rider's experience, connection to the road, the emotion, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible, and it makes you feel like you're a better rider than you are. It makes you, more confident in doing certain things on it that I don't feel the same level of confidence on some of the other bikes. And just the emotion of it, the character that this thing brings is it's unmatched. No two ways about it. Ducati has that reputation for a reason. Good brakes too, by the way. Really good brakes. That's it. That's all she wrote. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I sure as fuck did. And we will see y'all next time.